There's one moment that decides everything. When she accuses, presses, or questions your value. Maybe it's her tone. You don't care. You're selfish. In that second, the average man bends, explains, justifies, plead his case like a man on trial. She senses weakness. She hears your heartbeat in that apology. She smells fear. To Machiavelli, defending yourself in front of her is the moment you lose. Because the second you justify, you've admitted she owns you. Now the narrative belongs to her, and a woman who owns the narrative will rewrite the truth to fit her emotions. Even if she started the fight, she'll end up the victim. And you, the fool who handed her the weapon by opening his mouth. Power isn't found in explaining. It's in staying silent, unmoved, untouchable. She wants an answer. Don't give it. Let her accusation echo inside her own mind. Let her wrestle her own insecurity. Make her feel emotional, not you. That silence becomes her prison. Because when a man doesn't react, a woman can't decide if she's wrong or if she just lost him. She's testing your frame. If you flinch, you fall. If you plead, you prove you need her approval. And nothing repels a woman faster than a man begging for understanding. She doesn't want your truth. She wants your reaction. She doesn't want a calm answer. She wants to feel powerful. She wants to watch you squirm. When you stay silent, when your eyes don't blink, when your voice doesn't rise, you throw her into a free fall of doubt. She starts replaying the moment in her mind. Did she go too far? Did she just push away the one man who didn't chase her? Now she's the one performing. Now she's the one scrambling for clarity. And you haven't moved, because power isn't proven, it's felt, in the space between accusation and response. That space is where you dominate. Understand this. Women don't test you to find your explanation. They test you to find your weakness. Every time you explain, you bleed status. Every time you clarify, you lower your value. But when you remain still, when you become a wall she can't shake, you become the one thing modern women aren't prepared to face. A man who doesn't need her understanding. A man who doesn't play emotional ping-pong. A man whose silence is louder than her drama. She'll accuse. She'll press. She'll question your value. Let her. Because the second you stop defending, you stop needing. And the second you stop needing, she starts chasing. That's Machiavellian. That's how you flip the frame. That's how you stop being the defendant and become the judge. You think she'll understand if you just say it right. If you open your heart, share your truth, explain your side, you think it'll calm her storm, stop the accusations, prove your worth. It won't. Because the moment you explain yourself to a woman, you lower yourself to her frame. You tell her, without even realizing it, that her emotions outrank your reality, that her interpretation holds more weight than your intention, that your truth needs her permission, and once you hand her that throne, she will never give it back. Understand this. Women don't argue to reach truth. They argue to establish dominance. The second she asks, "Why didn't you tell me? Do you even care? Why are you acting different?" It's not a question, it's a move, a social jab, a test. And the average man, he explains, he panics, he tries to be seen as good. And in doing so, he shows her something far more revealing than an answer. He shows her fear. That's all she needed to see. Because in that moment, you are no longer the man, you are the defendant, and she's the jury, the judge, and the executioner. Machiavelli said, "The weak speak first." And when it comes to women, that law is lethal. You explain, she tightens the grip. She escalates, she questions again. Because she now knows you'll dance for approval, you'll plead for peace, you'll lower your voice, you'll hand over your authority just to avoid discomfort. This is where men get broken. They believe explanation will bring connection. But she doesn't want connection. She wants control. She's not listening for logic, she's listening for weakness, the tone, the energy, the shift in your eyes when you try to convince her that you're not the villain. Every word you speak just confirms her emotional leverage. Let me give you an example. She walks in, sees your screen, asks, "Watching porn again?" The average man, he flinches, fumbles. No, it was just a tab. I wasn't even watching. It's not what you think." Boom, dead. You just surrendered the masculine frame because her accusation, however subtle, now controls your behavior. But the man who doesn't explain, who lets the accusation burn in silence, he doesn't just keep power, he multiplies it, because silence in the face of emotional chaos isn't weakness, it's dominance. The less you explain, the more mysterious you become. The less you justify, the more unshakable you appear. The less you respond, the more she scrambles to understand you. That's scrambling, that's attraction, that's obsession. Because deep down, she doesn't want a man she can decode. She wants a man she has to chase just to understand. So next time she comes with accusation disguised as concern, don't explain, don't flinch, don't validate her power play. Hold the silence. Make her sit in her own fire. Because in that space, you stop being a man who explains and start becoming a man she can't stop thinking about. They're not your problems, they're your tests. When she hits you with emotional traps, why didn't you call? You never listen. Most men do one thing. They fall into the cycle. They respond. They over-explain. They weaken. But the Machiavellian doesn't play their game. One, don't respond. Disappear. Emotional traps crave a reaction. A pause, a retort, an apology are all ammunition. When she shoots venom, "You're so selfish," the instinctual response looks like this: "I was busy. That's not what I meant. Why won't you just understand?" Each word is a concession. Each explanation is surrender. Instead, vanish. No smirk, no sulk, no validation. Just unmoved presence. Watch her pull at the silence until she collapses on herself. 2. Don't defend. Reframe. Subtle trap. You're already out with your phone. Most men explain, "It's just my job." Wrong. You just accepted her frame. The Machiavellian answer: reframe with precision. Interesting concern, if you see it that way. Neutral, non-defensive, unshakable. Now she's the one under suspicion. 3. Don't apologize. Assert a truth. Trap. You hurt me. Most men beg forgiveness. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." Wrong move. That's emotional begging. Instead, short status statements. Only those unused to respect call it something harmful. If you believe that, then surely I'm doing something right. This isn't cruelty, it's status reinforcement. A clear boundary, not a defense. 4. Don't chase clarity. Obscure it. Trap. You're so distant. He thinks. Explain. Clarify. Wrong again. Silence is your weapon. No clarification. Let the distance feel dangerous. Make it more than an absence, a question she can't ignore. 5. Don't look her in the eyes. Mirror her. Trap. You've changed. I don't even recognize you. Most men look wounded. Speak softly. Try to anesthetize the pain. The Machiavellian holds the eye contact. Cool, centered, almost bored. Then he looks away. Why? When you refuse to flinch, you expose their instability. They start walking backward in their own accusation, questioning if they even know what they wanted. The mindset shift she doesn't see. When women test, they expect you to scramble. They expect tears. They expect apology. The answer isn't emotion, it's immunity. Every explanation plus apology equals a mini defeat. Every silence plus reframing equals consolidation of power. You're not ignoring her because you hate her. You're ignoring her because you love yourself more. Because met with silence, even the loudest drama collapses. Final trap. She won't expect. She says something dramatic like, "Maybe I'm with the wrong person." Most men respond, "You're wrong. I love you. Let's fix it." This is suicide, a test of your frame. The strategy? Long gaze, no words, then simply, "If that's how you see it." That's all. You turn the trap into a mirror. Now she's defending not you, not your love, but her insecurity in front of you. Stay silent. Reframe. Never apologize. Make her trip over her own expectations. That is how you survive her tests. That is how you stay untouchable. That is how you remain the man she can't force into proving himself. She texts, "We need to talk." You feel it rise, panic, tension, that gnawing urge to explain, but hold, because in that moment, silence is your sword. Most men throw words. They beg for clarity, spin justifications, say things like, "Please don't misunderstand. Let me just say this one thing." But here's the truth. Every word is a leak in your frame. Every sentence is evidence she's in control of the tempo. Machiavelli would laugh at you, because silence isn't inaction, it's psychological war. Why silence works, women crave reaction, not because they want truth, but because it tells them one thing: do I still control you? Silence says, no, you don't. And it doesn't matter if she's calm or chaotic. The moment she can't get a read, she spirals. She texts 3 more times. She sends a voice note. She calls, then posts a quote about toxic men. You said nothing, but now she's performing for your absence. That's the game. Silence isn't weakness, it's presence. The strong man doesn't speak first. He doesn't speak second either. Sometimes he never speaks at all. Because when you hold silence, you force her to feel everything she was trying to dump on you. And here's what happens. She over-explains. She repeats herself. She starts doubting her own emotions, and every word she throws into the void. That's her frame collapsing. Why women fear silence? Because silence is ambiguity, and ambiguity is power. It means you're not panicking, you're not submitting, you're not desperate to win her back. She doesn't know what you're thinking, so her mind fills the silence with fear. Did I go too far? Is he done with me? Did I lose him? This is when you stop being the accused and become the question she can't answer. Silence turns her drama into a monologue. Let her write the paragraph. Let her scream into the void. Let her twist her own logic into knots. You don't even flinch. And when she finally asks, "Do you have nothing to say?" you calmly respond, "No," or worse, "Not anymore." Now she feels it. The weight of everything she thought she controlled. Slipping. Because your silence didn't mean weakness. It meant you've already decided. Final truth. Stillness is scarier than anger. Anger is easy. Explaining is expected. But silence, that makes her question who she's really dealing with. You become unreadable. And unreadable men are dangerous. Not because they threaten, but because they never need to. She wanted a fight. You gave her a mirror. And now, while she drowns in her own voice, you walk away as the only man she can't decode. Silence isn't the absence of response. It's the presence of power. Imagine she looks at you with tear-rimmed eyes and says, "You're so manipulative." It's not a statement. It's a test, crafted to corner you, to demand energy. Most men panic and squirm. They start defending, apologizing, justifying. You don't do that. Because Machiavelli taught, when someone throws an accusation, turn it into a mirror. Make them stare into themselves. 1. Don't deny. Reframe. She says, "You're manipulative." You don't say, "I'm not." You say, "Funny how influence scares insecure people." Neutral, dominant, no apology, no explanation. Now she's not accusing you, she's defending herself. She's exposed, not you. 2. Let her guilt carry the drama. When you remain calm and composed, her accusation becomes a confession. to her inner tension, her jealousy, her need to control. She throws, "You don't care about me anymore." Don't respond. Pause. Then calmly, "Is caring defined by possession or by presence?" You didn't deny, you reframed. You made her doubt her framing, not your value. 3. Turn her emotional jabs into weakness. She storms in. "Why haven't you called? You don't speak." You let the silence linger, and after a beat say, "Silence says more than words ever will." Now the tone has shifted. She's fidgeting. She realizes her panic equals emotional imbalance. Your stillness equals command. 4. Use short, razor-sharp responses. When she accuses again, "You think you're better than me." Don't negotiate. Respond with ice. Better isn't the goal, it's standards. That 2-word pivot doesn't explain, it defines. Now the accusation falls meaningless. Her emotional weapon becomes weightless. 5. The ultimate mirror. Reflect her fear. If she ever says, "I feel insecure around you," don't apologize. Pause. Then quietly, "That means you see something real." You didn't comfort her. You revealed her fear. Now she's the one questioning, "What did I almost lose?" 6. Why this works. You never appear weak. You don't validate her frame. You flip the emotional gravity back on her. You remain the only one with narrative control. The crowd sees it. They sense the power shift. You're not the one bending under stress. They are. And now, she's the one seeking approval. You're the one maintaining the frame. Machiavellian psychology. At its sharpest, most men stay in conversation. They chase clarity, but the true strategist, he uses emotional judo. When she pushes, he stays still. When she throws a jab, he reflects it. When she seeks to control you, he turns her accusation into weakness. She becomes self-judged. Her drama loses momentum. Your value stays intact. Final truth bomb. Turning the accusation into a mirror isn't cruelty, it's command. Because the man who doesn't earn her trust, but makes her earn your presence, is the one who owns the room. And once she starts defending herself in your silence, you no longer speak. You simply walk away, leaving her to perform in the echo of your calm. Sometimes the theory isn't enough. You need blood on the page, proof. Men who stood accused, attacked, ridiculed, and said nothing, not out of fear, but because silence is what power looks like when it's already won. Case study 1. The CEO who let the rumor die. He was accused of betrayal by a former partner. The media asked for a statement. PR firms begged him to respond. His silence was labeled arrogant, cold, even guilty. Still, he said nothing. For 6 months, his name floated in every blog, every boardroom whisper. But slowly, the silence became curious, then respected, then feared. Years later, when the truth emerged, the accuser had fabricated the entire thing. He was asked why he never spoke. His response: the accusation died on its own. He didn't win by fighting. He won by refusing to lower himself into her emotional pit. Lesson: your silence doesn't prove guilt. It lets theirs fester. Case study 2. The influencer accused of toxic masculinity. A rising content creator, one viral clip, one angry thread. Suddenly he was labeled every insult in the book. Narcissist, abuser, danger to women. His DMs filled with hate. People demanded a response. He posted one sentence: "People always call you dangerous when they can't control you." He never defended the clip. He never explained his intent. He reframed the entire storm into a test of dominance. Weeks passed. Views rose. His following doubled. The hate, it burned out, impotent. Why? Because every accusation became proof of his power. Lesson: if her attack becomes your badge, you win twice. Case study 3. The unknown man who walked away. This one didn't make headlines. A man in a relationship. She called him cold, emotionally unavailable, told him, "You've changed." He didn't explain, didn't argue, didn't fight to be understood. He packed his things, left her apartment with a single sentence. "You knew who I was before you tried to change me." He didn't return calls, didn't post about it, disappeared from her world entirely. A year later, she reached out, apologized, said, "You were right. I just didn't understand your silence." He didn't reply. She never forgot him. Lesson: if she remembers you in silence, you were never defeated. Final strategy. These men didn't just not explain, they turned inaction into myth. Their silence wasn't absence, it was presence without effort. And in a world begging men to grovel, defend, overexpress, these men chose to vanish, not into weakness, but into aura. They became stories women couldn't forget because they left no closure. And no closure means no control. Machiavellian rule: he who speaks second controls the frame. He who speaks last owns the outcome. He who never speaks becomes legend. Let's destroy the last illusion. You were never supposed to defend yourself in the first place. Not to women, not to critics, not to anyone. Because the second you start explaining, the second you start pleading to be understood, you hand her the pen. You let her write your story. And guess what? She won't write you as the hero. She'll write you as the problem, the disappointment, the man she almost respected. A man who explains becomes a man who kneels. And once you're on your knees, she never forgets that posture. You think she wants the truth, she doesn't. She wants the emotional upper hand. She wants to see if she can move you, control you, shake your frame. And when you break, when you explain, justify, or text that apology at 1 a.m., you become predictable. And the predictable man is boring. The flinching man is forgettable. You don't win her over by being understood. You win by being unfathomable. The men she obsesses over, they never said, "Please hear me out." They never posted, "Let me clarify what I meant." They never gave her the satisfaction of explanation. They left her wondering, left her rewinding the last conversation, left her replaying that stare, that silence, that detachment. That's not just power, that's haunting. Stop trying to prove. You don't need to prove you cared. You don't need to prove you're good. You don't need to prove you didn't mean it. She knows. Women are not dumb. They're emotional strategists. She just wanted to see what kind of man you were. One who explains himself, or one who makes her explain herself when you say nothing. When you stop chasing her understanding, you force her to chase your mystery. That's when the dynamic flips. That's when she dreams about you instead of deconstructing you. That's when you go from available comfort to unreachable consequence. Final law: aura over explanation. There are men who explain themselves. There are men who post paragraphs, who cry on cue, who beg to be seen. And then there are men who say nothing because their presence says everything. These men create tension without trying. They control the room without raising their voice. They walk out the door and leave a silence so heavy it rearranges her standards. She doesn't miss the apology. She misses the man who didn't need to give it. Let that be you. The man who doesn't explain, who doesn't defend, who lets women burn in their own emotional fire while he watches, unmoved. You don't just flip the frame, you become the frame. Final Machiavellian principle: control isn't about response, it's about presence, and the man who never explains becomes the man she can never forget. Drop the last word, drop the closure, drop the defense. Because the moment you stop speaking for her validation is the moment she starts speaking about you in rooms you'll never enter. And that's when you've won, silently. If this hit a nerve, like the video, subscribe. And if you believe in this message, support the movement using the link in the description. You're not here to prove yourself to women. You're here to make them prove themselves to you.